Hi everyone, I am Akshat, and today joining me is one of my special friends, and he's coming in from New Zealand once again. There is Simon out there. So lovely to have you with us, Simon. And recently you have joined the MetaBrainz team. Wonderful and amazing news. I was delighted to hear it. So, what are your takes on it? How was the experience for you?
Oh, a bit of a dream come true, to be honest, because I've been editing on MusicBrainz like what, I think like 12 or 13 years, on and off. So, and I've always, I don't know, as you know, I've always been annoying everyone with design stuff. So,
I love your designs, and every time I put something on the forums, aerozol will come and he'll be like, these things need to be fixed and these things need to be corrected, and you will. But the best thing is that you do support me as well. So I'll see a lot of people going here and there that no, 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 we are not, we don't even consider this as a thing. But then you will jump in and you'll be like, yeah, like you are trying to do the right thing, but maybe you could fix these things. That is what I love about you, that instead of just complaining, you come up with a design like, here's how you can fix it. So that's lovely. And first thing I wanted to ask you is that how was the joining experience like? So you saw that you were enrolled in the team now. So is that what you expected while being an outsider, or how was it?
yeah, I mean, kind of, because I know how MusicBrainz kind of works or MetaBrainz works. It's a little bit, not what I'd expect from a different business in that, like, the onboarding is pretty loose,
why
It's
why
like Mayhem, like, sets up a meet, or Rob sets up a meeting with me, Monkey's like, all right, here's some tickets, like, off you go. Um, as opposed to, like, here's HR and like here's all the documents and read this book and it's just kind of like yeah, someone will make you some tickets, you'll be right, you know.
But I love that about Rob, that he's like very quick. That if he likes something, he'll get on with it after discussing with the team. But he's very quick with the actions, and he does take the right actions.
Yeah,
I do
totally.
think with a team like ours, which is quite small and compact, he does take it really well.
Mm.
And are you satisfied this opportunity? Are you like with this opportunity? Are you like happy? And what's your take on this?
Yeah, so happy. So we've started out at 3 hours a week, which is like nothing, which is, I think Rob would have been keen for more, but even I was like, let's take it slow. So happy. It's definitely, I love MetaBrainz, but I still don't know quite how it's going to work. You know, like everyone else is a developer, and then I'm in there. I'm like, oh, how do I use GitHub and Jira? It's really
Right.
different, and I'm not sure. Although MetaBrainz had other designers before, they had Chavi, but I think she was also more tech focused.
I think she wasn't tech focused, but
Oh,
in the process, she learned the things.
Oh, cool. That's
Yeah.
great. See, that makes me feel better already. Yeah. So, like, yeah, I was feeling really out of my depth, but still excited. And it's good stuff to learn anyway. I mean, I should have learned it ages ago. I just don't, you know, unless I have to, I don't do the more technical stuff. It's not my, like, I don't get up on the weekend and go, let's figure out how GitHub works.
I think we do learn that in the process. Like even when I started coding, uh, GitHub wasn't a thing for me. Like
Mm,
for me, the primary focus was development. But then with that, you have to learn these things. So I think it does come in the process.
yeah.
So where do you store your files? So for that, you need to go to GitHub.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's when the point came in. And for you, it'll be like you have to submit something to MetaBrainz. So how are you going to do that?
Mm.
So I think yeah, it'll be a very easy learning curve for you, I think, going on with GitHub.
Cool. I
And
have I have liked it. Like, yeah, I'm really liking what I'm seeing. The process makes a lot of sense. You know, um, it is. I guess I'm missing the overview that I'll get eventually. That I'm going to get you to run me through anyway. Sometimes it's hard to see how things connect. Like I can see how everything works, But what you're doing with the storybook and stuff is
Right.
already doing that. It's still got to be filled in, but that's awesome because I can look at that and I'm like, yep, here are the design elements. If you hadn't made that, I don't know quite how easy that would be.
I think Chavi started that
Oh yeah.
a few years back. So she started with that repository as a Google Summer of Code project. That we do want some designs in, but where do we put them first?
Mm,
So that is where Storybook comes in. That you have these React components. So I keep using the word component, right? So
mm,
it's something like if you want, like you design this curtain once, and you can use it again and again. Just
mm.
reuse the design. So that's how a component is. What we are looking to do it with it,
Yeah.
and let's get into the technical stuff later. Before that, I wanted to ask you that what is your primary focus going to be as the designer for MetaBrainz now?
Well, that's a little bit. That's kind of why the hours have started low as well, right? Like I'm hoping to do more later. Like 3 hours, it's like long gone. I only just started. like, but yeah, it's a little bit hard to say because it depends on what's needed, right? Particularly because Rob's kind of handed me over to you and Monkey. Um, so it really depends. I think he's got his vision, and then there's also what is actually useful day to day for you. So if I'm supporting you and Monkey, so I don't really know. I guess for me, my comfort zone is like just graphic design stuff, mock-ups. But I can already tell that you're like, hey, give me the code for these, you're like, which is great, So I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I'll be digging more into that and delivering something a bit different for you.
Yeah, so if I have to brief you down on what's going on with the
Mm,
revamp stuff, the 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 thing we are doing is pretty clear that we want to revamp the whole website.
mm,
But in order to do that, we have to make a lot of changes to the code
mm,
because new libraries have to be integrated, new stuff has to be done, because we do say that we want it on the mobile, but in order to do that we have to integrate new things
mm.
first. So integrating those new things takes a while. That's why we like moved on to using the design system, that
Yeah.
this repository will have the things, and then we'll plug and play
Mm,
that stuff. So and in the meantime I started a mock website because that's easier to do.
mm.
That you just have things in your mind, just
Yeah.
get it on code and see it. That makes sense for me, but not in the long run. I think I was a noob a few months
Oh,
back
okay,
taking
interesting.
that decision. Yeah,
Right, you
yeah.
reckon? So, what would you do now? Because I mean, for me, it was definitely good to go, but was it a big time investment, or what was the?
Like it takes time, but like it's just that the music brains code, right? So it's
Mm,
like a 20-year-old code.
mm.
Things have changed a lot.
Yeah.
Like new technologies have been worked on, and bitmap and rio are taking, and even yavan are like doing amazing work getting on with the current stuff.
Mm,
But it's still a long way to go on that front as well. So for me to just dive into that code was very difficult
got it.
at that point. That is why I started a mock website.
Mm,
I gave in like 3 to 4 days. I'm like, here's the stuff ready.
yeah,
But getting that over here
got
takes a
it.
while, and but we have made a lot of progress on that stuff. So I'm hoping that in the next 3 to 4 days, hopefully we can start seeing it on like a test server or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I saw some comments on some tickets that were like, and I feel your pain a little bit, because you're like, let's do this website. First of all, it's the forum feedback and stuff. It's like, oh my god, like this is gonna, Akshaatt's ready to go. Like he's ready,
Right,
like he's good. And then there's all this stuff. And then on your tickets, it was like, I don't know, you had a ticket was like redo the homepage, and then maybe
right,
Monkey or
right.
someone's like, yeah, it's gonna be much. This is gonna be like 1,000 tickets, and I was like, oh no. But yeah, that's to be expected. Yeah, it's just such a massive change, to be honest. Like it's so good, it's really needed.
I think since the past year, we are even focusing a lot on ListenBrainz.
Mm,
So me and Monkey were deciding how we are going to redo the whole website for ListenBrainz as well. So ListenBrainz, the code which is used over there is quite easy to get in.
mm,
So it's like when you make the changes, you can expect that they'll be reflected in the next 1 or 2 months.
yeah,
But for
true.
MusicBrainz, it's like it's gonna take a while. So the problem even comes that even if you have changed one thing, you can't ask the whole community to just review it one by one,
Mm,
because one part is like different, other is not. So that's why we can't look to integrate it on the go.
mm,
We have to, like, if I talk in development terms, we have to make a separate branch and put things over there and just see for ourselves as of now. I
yeah,
think that's going to be the thing for the next 2 to 3 months. I think
yeah,
we are going to be looking at things just from our end, and then we'll put it out for the community.
yeah.
This is where I thought that, instead of spending 3 to 4 months on these kind of things, if I have a mock before itself, that,
Mm,
the website is going to look like this,
totally.
you're going to get this.
Mm,
So that was the thing over there. But it's like if you still don't have it in the main website, it doesn't matter
mm,
currently, as I think.
yeah,
So we can still wait.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I think going the mock way is not the right decision. That is where we came on to the design system. So
Mm,
why did we start focusing on the design system was that, see, music brains need some changes. On the same time, even listen brains need some changes.
mm,
Even critique brains need some changes on the design side. So suppose I'm updating the footer for MusicBrainz. The footer should follow the same standard for ListenBrainz and CriticBrainz as well. As a developer, I'll have to go into the code for ListenBrainz and then redo it. It's like a it's like a repetition of a task which can be done only once.
mm, yeah,
That is where design system comes in. That you put everything over here and just import it to all the other things.
yeah. And that was my going to be my other question. The storybook and stuff. Currently, you're working on MusicBrainz, but it's going to be across all the Brains projects, or
So when Chavi started it a few years back, it was targeted only for music brains.
mm,
And then when I came in, I saw that we need to have a proper design system for the whole
yeah,
organization, because we are doing similar things.
yeah,
So if we want a player, we want it in listen brains also and in music brains also. So
cool,
that is where we want to share things. So in order to share those things, we are using the design system, that we'll put all the shareable things over here. That was my other ticket for you,
yeah,
that what all things should be shared.
yeah,
Like, I just can't be like, music brains has a search bar, right? But in critique brains, what can, like, is the search bar the main facility that you want to provide in the homepage, or do we want to showcase the reviews that people are showing?
mm,
So you will have, like, not everything is reusable, right? But
yeah,
things like the nav bar or the footer or the player, those things can be reused. So what you could help me with is, you analyze our other projects as well and see that, I think these things should be reused.
mm.
uh,
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, for me, just from a pure design, and this is where I'm always thinking about it a bit differently. Let me just make a note. Uh,
because you have seen the storybook, right?
yeah,
The website, so it is showing you the all the components which are like buttons are reused everywhere.
yeah,
So we want to have a particular style for a button, that this kind of button will be used in MetaBrainz projects. So
mm,
instead of rewriting that button everywhere, we'll just import it from the design system.
yeah,
So this month I was focusing on getting the design system ready, first of all. Even right now, we need some guidelines for it as well. As you pointed out on the forums, that what color should we use? Like, I used some random colors in the mockup, I think,
mm.
which were out of place. So
Yeah. I mean, it looks, but like I was really happy to see the design system because I can already see that that's not going to go through. Um, you're using the same thinking already, which is I assume you're not going to be making new font styles for one page on the MusicBrainz site, So you've already got this. That's really the thing. It's like you got header 1, 2, 3. You're going to use that everywhere. That's
That,
and then so that's and I guess mock-ups are tricky. I'm always saying like, don't look too closely because I'm like, because you send out a mock-up, you're like, this stuff's final and this stuff isn't. Because I definitely, and that's dealing with the community. I mean, I think you're going to learn or are learning this as well. Like, you got to be really careful because I did look at the mock-up and I was like, oh, this might be it. Like, this might be exactly what we're getting, and then so I'm going to pick at all the font colors. Because that's
right.
it. Yeah. But then now I'm like, oh, okay. It's actually more of an early indicator.
Like
The styles will change.
Yeah, I remember, like, for example, one of the, a friend of mine, I would say, I met him online itself, and he came in and he was like, I'll redesign the create artist page. He had a post
Oh,
on the forum as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
So, from his point of view, he wanted a single page thing, that you can just, like, go
Yeah, I
along with it.
remember.
But people were like that, we wanted only on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
I think even you were supporting that.
Yeah.
And I think that makes sense. But even he had a point that if you're on a mobile, you just want to, just fill these things, go next, fill next, go next, fill
Mm.
next. So I think we have to spend a lot of time with the community first and then decide on things. So you are a great person for that because you have been in and around and you are one of the voices for the community. So I think if you suggest a design, it is going to be pretty much what everyone needs at the end of
Yeah,
the
I
day.
mean, I definitely predict, you know, sure, yeah. I think I do have a good handle. Anything that's like get at mobile, for instance, a whole bunch of people are gonna like lose it a little bit. So like stuff like that is useful, but also I totally imagine we are gonna make changes that people aren't gonna like, and you just got to figure out which feedback is important or like really impacts and what's like preference because um I don't, yeah, are you familiar with change management, the term?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so the change management part will be, I mean, kind of depends. Rob doesn't. It's good. MusicBrainz is good. It's not got this big structure. But if we were doing this in a big organization, the change management, like people will hate any change, and then
Right, right.
you have budget, like big budget, purely to make. So even for me, if I know what people will like or won't like, there's still going to be times where I'm like, look, it's just better with this change, for everybody,
Right.
and a lot of people aren't going to like it, and we're just going to
Yeah.
have to. So, it's gonna happen. Hopefully, we can like minimize it, but it's definitely going to happen. You're going to make a button a bit bigger because it's more modern, and people are going to hate it, and then we're going to have to be like, oh, it's fine. Even some of my suggestions, it's like it's still design. It's like what works for me might not work for others. So yeah, it's if you have different experience with how you browse, and are just as valid as mine, right? So
I think it's going to be tricky on what steps we are going to take also
mm,
because as you said that how are like what do you think is the best way for you to contribute?
well, it's a little bit interesting. I definitely yeah, ideally for me, I'd actually might be coming in with something that's quite different to what you guys and Rob maybe expect, which in my mind would be more of a design overview, like a big picture kind of ethos of how things look in
uh,
MusicBrainz, or MetaBrainz.
I have seen a few softwares. What they do is you just design it by hand, drag and drop, and
Mm,
all your things. Like one of them is Figma,
yeah.
and then you can get the HTML and CSS for it as well. So for us as developers, what you can do is you can just provide it to me. I'll
Mm-hmm.
get all the guidelines.
Yeah.
Like for example, you provided me a mockup, which is like on the top we have the logo. On like on some margin, I have like a text which is saying open source community and stuff like that. So while I'm developing,
Mm-hmm.
what is the logo size that you have asked me to add over there? Like in your
Mm-hmm.
mockup, it could be like we have seen the
Totally.
mockups, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
don't have the exact measurements. So the difference that comes in is that you provide me a design,
Yeah.
but then when it's being codified, it's not the same,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
in the design 10 things were there, but when I codified it, only 5 things were there. So the design field doesn't come that way. So if you can provide us with the exact, like the logo has to be 50
Mm.
50 pixels, and the text has to be of this font and this size, so I think that will ease our work as well.
Mm. Yeah. So that's where it's, and yeah. So that's coming back to what I expect. It's, I wonder if we'll end up going that way because you and Monkey seem to already be fine with doing mock-ups and like pushing things out. I guess my first impression is I'd love to see, and this is again more like for me and probably not what you guys or Rob expect, but for me as a designer, I'd come in and I'd be like, I'd really like to be able to say, why is a column going there? Why is that column there? And then for anyone from MetaBrainz to go, well, that's because our design philosophy is it's a secondary column and
Right.
it has this kind of information, so it needs to look like this, and that language is unified across the whole thing, and that's
Right.
really like that's like a step above doing mock-ups and stuff. It's more like
Right. Right.
because I think, and that's been pretty clear to me that you and Monkey, there's heaps of stuff that you're already, you know, um, I don't know how much you really need me to do the mock-up. If you've already,
No, no, we definitely
oh,
need you.
okay, well,
Like, yeah, yeah. We need you more than you even think.
okay, well,
That
that's good.
yeah, yeah. Because like you could do, like you could help finalize the design for us. I think that
Mm,
would be something that you would be great at. That Simon is saying that this is the design we have to go with. You
oh,
could do the discussions for on behalf of us. Like if I have a design out, I have to first ask on the forum,
mm,
then see if that can be codified also, and then make some changes. So I remember when I was doing the mock-up website, I had to make a lot of changes just for
mm,
one page.
mm,
Like I added the code for FAQs as well in the homepage and other stuff also, but then I had to remove it.
yeah,
Even recently when we had a discussion, we decided that the supporters should be in a single line
mm,
rather than being that way. So for me that was an added work.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I don't have any problem doing it. It's just that in terms of our work, I think if the design is finalized, that Simon says that it has to be this way, I'll just put it on code.
gotcha.
That
Yeah,
could be one.
yeah,
Yeah.
great. Because that was going to be another question. I wasn't too sure how Robert approached it. I was wondering, had he talked to you and Monkey? Like, did I felt like he was like, "Hey guys, I've hired Simon. Here he
Uh,
is." You know?
that was it.
Yeah, I thought so.
But I love his decisions. So like it's very thoughtful. I think like he has seen the chemistry between us as well, and the way you work. Like you have always been providing us with amazing designs. So there was no question in about taking you or not. I think the chemistry was an added thing that yeah, Akshat and Monkey are already doing work on this area. So Simon could be the final judgment on it.
Yeah, oh,
Yeah.
that's great because there's also like I've definitely worked for I've worked in plenty of places where it can just get tricky. Someone's already working on stuff and doing a good job. That's the other thing. You guys are already doing a good job, so it's like okay, so someone new's been added in. What's the
No,
how
no.
does what happens there? Um, yeah, it's just good to be careful. I think like
I think like I think even you have seen Monkey in the video we did, and he's like the most like heartiest person, I would say, and he's a very jolly person. So he has been very kind to me. I think like I make a lot of like wrong choices as well at times. That he'll be redesigning the player, and I'll be like let's get these changes also in this PR. But he'll be like, no, Akshat, like listen, like don't
Yeah.
get too excited. We'll do it separately, and like he is very organized also. I love the way he codes. Like if you see him code, he's like very clear, and his code is always the most readable and the most organized code.
Oh, cool.
So, and he's always open to discussion as well.
Mm.
And I think like if you have any design area, he will like let us know what. Yeah, I think that's what we need to get on paper as well, like on a particular document as well, that what's right for MetaBrainz design and what's not.
Yeah, that's
Like
that's.
taking that example for the multi-page thing.
Mm.
So we don't want multi-page
Mm.
stuff for things like creating and all, because I think that needs to be put somewhere so
Mm.
that developers don't make that mistake
Mm.
of even suggesting things. Someone needs to do that research, that based on the things, the features that we have, what's the best relevant design for it,
Mm. Yeah,
the what's the
totally.
best user experience for it. So I
Yeah.
think we do need some expertise on that. I think you come with that expertise.
Yeah,
That
and that's
Yeah, yeah.
where definitely. And again, I don't know if anyone would expect this, but before I do, if you gave me a ticket, which is like redesign the login page, that's why
Mhm.
I'll be like, do you have any other mock-ups? Because um,
Yeah, yeah.
it
That
all,
makes
yeah, it's like, okay, if this window looks like this, then I'm going to be annoying later. And if there's a similar page, I'm going to say, well, it's got to look the same.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
this
yeah.
is our
Exactly.
this is our thing now, and like that one looks nice, but we should really, if it's a login page and another page is, I don't know, a similar, or a data page, and this one's a data page, it's like get that colored background out. If that's not what we're
That,
using. Yeah.
that's the point of using the design system.
Mm, yeah.
That we have these things already. Like if we have a sign in button, it has to be sign in with MusicBrainz, and it has to go on all the websites that way. I think ListenBrainz and CriticBrainz follow the same design
Yeah.
for the login page in that area. So
Yeah.
I think it was done because it was visually the same.
Mm,
So at that time, but as of now, we should have proper guidelines
yeah.
of why we are doing that.
Yeah.
Like why it's the best option to have the color this way, and like for the theme also. Like yeah,
Mm,
I had a dark mode also for MusicBrainz previously, but I was planning to get it for ListenBrainz also. But I
mm,
don't know what colors to use,
mm.
what combinations to be matched. So if I
Yeah,
have
that's
to like add a dark mode to ListenBrainz, what colors do I need to use for it?
yeah. That's a really good point. I never thought about that. But yeah.
So
Uh,
yeah, yeah. So we could like have some guidelines first of all in the design system, that these colors go with MusicBrainz and ListenBrainz. Like these are the set defined colors, that this is the primary color for ListenBrainz, so this is the secondary color for MusicBrainz. So
yeah.
we need to define those,
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
because getting a dark mode on ListenBrainz as of now in terms of code is like a 1 day process. I can
Mm.
have it just by tomorrow, but
Yeah.
I do need that palette, that where like which thing has to go where.
Yeah.
So for me as a developer, that would be an additional task.
Mm.
Instead of giving something, I would be first analyzing what goes better. I would be making mockups for it. That if I add this color, will this be relevant or not? So I think you are the expert in that area.
Great.
So
Yeah, because the other thing was I always got the impression that you enjoy that stuff. But
I do enjoy it.
yeah,
I do.
yeah. Yeah, but
Yeah,
it
yeah,
definitely, yeah, I mean it's another job,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
for sure.
yeah. Right.
Yeah. Hey, your friend's mock-up suggestion for the ad artists. I hope he wasn't too demotivated because like the community is harsh, but I thought it had heaps of great You know, I thought it had heaps of like, it was so good to see. Like, I think I will refer back to that, you know, that mock up.
I think it was kind of a setback for
Mm,
him.
yeah,
Yeah,
I totally, yeah, I
yeah,
can understand that. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that's
So
but it's yeah, it is a shame because like, as far as MusicBrainz goes, it wasn't, you know, yeah, there was feedback, but it's just kind of like MusicBrainz forum style, you know. It's like
right,
it doesn't mean the mock-up's bad at all.
right, right. So yeah, I think if we have a guideline, so suppose
Mm,
a new person is coming and they are like, I want to redesign this page with Akshat.
yeah,
I'll do the code for it.
yeah,
But who decides what the design is going to be?
hmm,
He or she can try,
yeah,
but
totally,
then what like design do they have to follow?
yeah,
For that, maybe you can help us define the guidelines and then review also what all designs go in.
mm,
And if you get more time, you can keep on designing pages for us.
cool,
And yeah, yeah, and I'm always open to discussion with you.
great,
So yeah, yeah, that's what we can even have a Google Meet as of now.
yeah,
That let's redesign this. Me and Monkey actually did this last year when we were planning to do the redesign for ListenBrainz. We came on a video call and we opened up the websites in front and we were talking that for ListenBrainz we want the uh, playing facility as well. So do we have the brain split down or should it be vertical or what? And what all main features would be socializable?
mm,
Like we have a lot of things on the website, but where to show what for the user experience? So if I'm clicking the profile button, the profile is at the bottom as of now. If you check it right now, and
mm,
there is no settings column, there is no like if you go for deleting listens there is a whole page for it. So that's not the kind of UI or user experience we want from people,
mm,
because I have been talking to a few friends. I'll bring them in that check listen brains out. So they will log in and everything, but then they'll be like, where do I go? Like
yeah,
the
to-
website is not explaining itself.
yeah,
So yeah, so I think yeah, that's what you can help us. That even right now when I see the home page, it has a lot of unrelated stuff. So we want to omit that. So you could come up with the designs that these things should be relevant over here.
mm,
That for user experience, it doesn't make sense that we want the guidelines itself in the first page. That is
mm,
where when we decided the redesign for the home page, we added the search bar. You came up with the idea that the search bar should be maximized because it's the main
mm,
functionality for MusicBrainz. So ideas like those need to be defined also somewhere,
yeah,
that for MusicBrainz these are the core functionalities, which is why people are using this website. So I shouldn't be going to MusicBrainz and adding a player. Like that
yeah,
makes sense, right? Like ListenBrainz can have a player at the bottom, but MusicBrainz can't.
yeah. And it's funny because I recently, did you see my mock up in the forums? It was like, could be, I just put in a mock up that was like, putting a play button next to
Next to the
releases.
yeah, right.
Because if ListenBrainz already has that, then why can't we browse an artist in MusicBrainz, you know, and just hit play next to anything? Um, but yeah, so that's where the interesting questions come up because some of this stuff is also what Rob, like as you say, like if he wants, like I can already tell, like if he's interested in something, then it goes. Like you guys have been doing amazing work on ListenBrainz, you know, and I feel like it's
Right.
definitely because he's just like, yep, this is, you know, we're gonna do ListenBrainz. That's what we're doing. And then, so lately I have been getting the sense that he started being like, okay, now how do we link them?
Right,
You
right.
know, how do we connect them? So it's like, yeah, and that was already a question. It's like, do you have the player come up in MusicBrainz, but do you have it ListenBrainz brand? You know, do you make it clear that you're now in a using, or does it just link to Listen? You know, all that kind of stuff.
Right, right.
It's gonna be
Understand.
interesting. Yeah.
So for that functionality itself, the brains player, which we call it,
Mm.
which is used in ListenBrainz. So we decided to make it a package so that
Yeah.
anyone can use
Cool.
it now.
So
Yeah, yeah.
good. Yeah, that's
So it
great.
so that's a part of the design system itself. So
Mm.
understand it this way, that there is this brains player which can be embedded anywhere, that on
So
any
good.
of our products we can use it.
So
So
good.
that's the idea. So probably the next 1 or 2 days I'll be working with Monkey to uh, have it out of the listen brains code and use it as a package. So because the code, like brains player, has like a few set of files
Mm.
which need to be re-implemented in MusicBrainz.
Yeah.
We don't want to be doing that because it's
Mm.
the same thing.
Yeah.
It's just that we have to change the location and make the configurations according to MusicBrainz.
Yeah.
That when to play it, how to play it, that'll be according to MusicBrainz at that point. So that is where we are shifting those things.
Mm.
So like we use Bootstrap. If you have heard the word,
Yeah.
you have heard the word of Bootstrap, that is used for uh, making responsive websites.
Yeah.
So, for example, ListenBrainz has Bootstrap version number 2, and Critic Brains has number 3, and MusicBrainz doesn't have it. So, for us as developers who are working on the front end code, we have to make the same changes on every website.
Mm.
So that's taking up our time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
these are like pretty standard changes. So they should be in one repository, which is the design system.
Yeah. And it's funny. I wonder if maybe I'm getting old, but like I love this stuff. Like I honestly, it's so great. Like when it took forever to get that home page, there was all this feedback and all this back and forth. I was just like, this is so good. Because when we get to when you get to the ListenBrainz homepage, it's like, well, we already know what to put it. This has already been argued about like endlessly, and it's like
Right.
sorted, and we've made the code uniform, and like I don't know. I probably used to be more of a fan of like, I don't know, let's do some cool pictures or something, but now I'm like, yeah, let's get all the versions the same. Spend 3 years doing that, and then everything's all nice and we can start putting things in. Yeah, so I feel the pain. With the code it's another level of complicated though, because anything you change in MusicBrainz affects another 1,000 components, right? And I always mean to ask, this is going to be a suggestion that I've got at some point. I want to see a blog post about what exactly the React changes are that have been happening, for like years, right? There's things like that where I'm like, okay, someone's tidying. I don't know why.
Yeah. So like we want to refactor the code as well.
Mm.
So React is used for the front end a lot these days. So React makes these components which are quick to use, that divide everything in the home page as components, so that if I have the nav bar, like when you're browsing through the websites, the nav bar and footer are always constant. Don't you see that?
Yeah.
Why are they there? Like, if you think of it this way, if an HTML page is there, would you rewrite that again
totally.
and again?
Yeah,
For login, for a home page, for the listens page. So you don't want to be rewriting it.
And
So
that's how it's currently set up? I mean, I guess it's an old site. Yeah, I assume. No. Yeah, right.
The older site for MusicBrainz, they use, I think, TT files. Even I'm not familiar with those. So that's where the problem comes in, right? The MusicBrainz, that even the developers aren't familiar with the older stuff.
Yeah.
So, so they have been modifying those TT files to be compatible with React. So now they are JavaScript files as of now.
Yeah.
So which even I can understand.
Yeah.
But it has some extra configurations that, when I started with MusicBrainz, it's like I do understand how to set it up and everything. But if I make a change, I'm like, where do I see it? Like, even I didn't, like, I made the change locally, but I am unable to see it because I didn't do some other configuration.
Some weird, some strange, yeah,
right.
Totally.
Yeah. So they have been migrating the whole website because MusicBrainz has a lot of things. So they have been migrating each and every file which was written in that other version to JavaScript
Mm.
and make it compatible with React as well. So they are doing amazing work on that front, but it gets a bit tricky that how we are going to, like, one of the pages not in React maybe, then how do you get the other things? And React is not the only thing.
Mm.
React is basically a library, JavaScript library, to get things done easily
Got it.
in terms of code and framework. Like a lot of websites have a new frameworks. Frameworks is, it's like, how do you manage those components of React?
Got it.
How does everything come into one picture?
Mm.
That's when a framework comes in. And even I'm not sure about the framework which MusicBrainz uses. So it gets a bit tricky, but now we are on the right track, I think.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah. It feels so. Yeah, it feels really positive. Yeah. I don't quite know what's going on, but like I'm like
right,
this is moving.
right. So the work is going great, and on the design front, I think we have to make some quick changes also now, because, like, for me, like, the homepage has been done for months now.
Mm.
Right. A few changes here and there go. But so what you can do is, even you can have the designs ready for us, and maybe, like, I could make tickets for you which suggest
Mm.
that we are looking to revamp this part of the website. So what's the best idea to do that, and what all things should be used in that page? So, like, I was redesigning the login page.
Mm.
It's
Yeah.
completely different from what we currently use and what it's in my mockup.
Mm.
If you have seen that mockup, it's like I added a picture as well of the MetaBrainz logos,
Yeah. Yeah.
because from my understanding, we use the MusicBrainz auth everywhere.
Yeah.
Even when you're logging into ListenBrainz, you have to log in using MusicBrainz. So every new user who's going to use ListenBrainz comes to MusicBrainz
Mm.
first. So for me, it makes more sense to showcase all the MetaBrainz logos in that website, on that MusicBrainz page for login and registering. So even right now, I'm not sure if that's the best practice or not. So you or Monkey would be the one who would make the final decisions for us
Mm.
in that term.
Oh yeah. Now you're speaking my language because and this is good for you to know as well, actually, with me, because you've given me the problem, or not the problem, but like the opportunity, which is, we've got a login page, but we can make it clear that it links to everything, and then it's like figure it out, which is it is a or not. That's not even a UI. That one's a visual. This visual link to everything, and I'm like, okay, I'm happy. Like, yeah, okay,
Right.
I can see what I'm trying to do. Um, and then I can come up with some stuff. So that's really.
Also, like, a lot of times, what happens is, when you have things on a computer, things will be pretty clear. Like, you might have, like, thousands of menu items. Like, once you click a button, you will show around a list of 10 things,
Mm.
which might cover one fourth of your vertical space
Yeah.
for you in the laptop or the PC. But when you come to the phone, the mobile experience, you can show like 20 things. That's
Mm.
a bad user experience.
Mm.
We face that with the footer for ListenBrainz. So if you see in the footer for ListenBrainz has a lot of things. It has a lot of links to it. But when you like minimize it, there is only brought to you by MetaBrainz in your phone.
Oh,
Like,
okay. Yeah, got it.
yeah, yeah. Currently, we have Geek, a link to that, and a link to the tickets.
It's
But in the
actually it displays that footer on the home. Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, no, I see. It's got the three, just the very bottom part. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, the
yeah.
three things are there. But in the mobile, there is only one,
Oh, okay.
because the space can't be managed, right?
Mm.
So I think when you do the design, you can provide us with both the facilities, that, on the mobile is going to look like this. And if you have the numbering also, like, if you have it fixed, that this logo has to be shown for 50 pixels.
Mm.
That will be very clear for us,
Yeah.
because then it'll be like, yeah, like Simon has given us the design.
Mm.
We'll just, I'll just sit, I'll do some CSS changes, I'll get things fixed right then and there.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. And yeah, that that again, that stuff's interesting, and I enjoy that kind of stuff. Like, how much do you show in a list? You know,
Right.
that's like that's a really good design question with maybe not a correct answer, because some people are going to flip out if they don't see 5,000 items in a scrollable list. But it's like, sorry, that's
Like, for instance, just like I think 1 or 2 weeks ago, we were discussing about ListenBrainz as well. I think you were in and around the conversation that we currently have terms like my listens, my feed, and it's repeated everywhere.
mm,
So I had a question that if I click on my listens, it shows my stats also. So it's not just about my listens. Why is it named that way?
I think I wasn't in this conversation. Where are you
Okay.
clicking on my listens?
Yeah. So when you click on my listens, a lot of
Oh yeah.
new tabs are also there. Like
Oh
it's showing
yeah.
my stats as well. So why
Gotcha.
name it my listens? Like it
Mm,
doesn't make sense to me.
yeah.
And and if you click on the profile icon, like which drops down a list, it has
Mm,
my listens again on that.
mm,
So for me, it's a question that why are you repeating stuff? Matlab, it's like,
yeah.
and now we have decided that we'll be renaming the my listens part to home,
Got it.
because that makes more sense.
Got it.
That in your home, it's all about your stats and your stuff. What are
Mm,
your pins? What are your things? And we'll be dropping the my from the my feed,
yeah.
because the
Cool.
feed is talking about everyone that you are
Mm,
following.
yeah.
It's not your feed, it's about the people you are following.
Cool. And I guess the good thing is on ListenBrainz, you guys have much more agency to just change it. On I can imagine MusicBrainz, even a change like that is a process. Whereas here,
Right, right.
yeah, there's no embedded community yet, and you can just kind of
But I do think that the Music Brains team is very organized. Like they are the most organized people I've ever seen.
amazing.
Like they want you to explain why you're making that change.
Mm,
Like for if in Listen Brains the conversation for renaming stuff was maybe a 1 day job, on Music Brains it's like a 1 week job.
yeah,
That
totally.
why, how, and where.
Mm.
So we need to be careful while working with the Music Brains designs a lot. First, it's the forums, and then second is the team also. That be precise of what you're saying.
Yeah, and I do think it's good because if you've had that well, it's good. I think it's good with what you're wanting to do. I don't
Right,
think
right,
that's good if you're doing that discussion for every change. I think it's
right.
really good if you have that discussion and then you codify it into a guidelines or a philosophy, and then you're
That makes
like,
sense.
which is
Right,
perfect. You can be like, we've argued over this component. You know, can the table sort this way? And then it's like that's it. You have the benefits. Yeah. Whereas definitely if it's happening for every, which is probably more how it is happening at the moment without all the
right,
elements to draw on, then it's like okay, like it's a lot of time.
right. So I think we need a guideline which says
Mm,
what all features are important for this website and the project, and how we are going to take things for it. Like as I said that people weren't interested that the homepage should be lengthy enough.
mm,
They are like, we do have a few features over here, so we don't want it to be too lengthy also. That if you want to explain about other projects, it doesn't have to be more than a line or two.
mm,
That it's just getting extra for it.
yeah.
So for the developers, I think even for like us also, we need some guidelines that these are the features that we want to highlight first of all.
Mm,
So if it's very clear, like the point that MusicBrainz has uh, the most used feature on MusicBrainz is the search feature.
Mm.
That's pretty clear.
Yeah.
So we need to make sure that that's available everywhere, that the user can find it at all times. That's why we added it to the nav bar as well,
Yeah.
even back in time. So now we have to see, like you have to figure out that in the releases page, what should be where. Like for me, I would suggest that the link should be somewhere with the content, not to the side.
Mm.
Currently it's on the side and the cover art is also on the side. So I would suggest that it should be with the artist name or somewhere like that, like
Yeah.
so.
It's going to be fun discussing this. I'm keen to do more video calls for sure, because um, when I already tackled those, just in my own time, tackled the mock-ups for a new, that was actually really hard to move stuff over. Like,
Right.
the the MusicBrainz layout's already really clear. You always have the information, regardless of what kind of page, artist page, release page. There's always the box at the top right, and that's already
Right. Right.
quite useful, because I'm like, oh, okay, you always know where to put just your basic information, the artist picture, um, and then there's definitely those changes that can happen, but then I'd be like, well, it's got to happen everywhere. If you put the image over
Right.
here, and then
Right.
yeah, so it was that's an interesting one, eh? Like, even I started out being like, I'm going to change everything. I'm going to put that column on the right's going to be really different. Like, and I'm not even putting in code. I'm just doing a Photoshop mockup, and I'm already like, huh, that's much more complicated. Yeah, it's going to be. There's going to be some discussions, for that kind of stuff.
I think the best way to move forward right now is like when we are redesigning something, we have to do some research also.
Mm,
What's needed the most on
mm,
that page, first of all. So I think you could also connect with Bitmap, I think.
mm,
Bitmap is the MusicBrainz lead.
yeah,
So he would have better insights into things. And I think MusicBrainz also has a lot of statistics as well. Like they do keep a track of what's being used the most or something like that.
yeah,
So I haven't had the opportunity to ask that. So, but I think you could initiate a conversation on
yeah. That's
what's the best thing for us
totally.
or for this page, so that we can highlight it more
Yeah,
on that.
yeah. And I wonder if that's going to be quite a way in the future. Because I mean, what do you think? Is it possible to? Would you see, for release pages, for instance, do you see the next step as being just updating all the elements with the new ones, like replacing tables with a new style, or do you think that comes with a redesign?
I think either is fine. Like
Yeah.
even if you want to remove the table from there, we can do that right now also, because
Mm,
we don't want to be revisiting the code again and again.
mm,
From my side, I see MusicBrainz going a long way right now.
yeah.
Like there's a lot going to come in. Currently, what we're doing is just design changes.
Mm,
I want more new design features also.
yeah. 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 No.
Yeah,
I mean, agreed. Yeah. Yeah. The way I see it is definitely first. It'd be good to first get the visuals, just start to plug some stuff in. I know you already were talking.
mm,
I only catch bits and pieces, because it takes, like, I wake up and there's so much in IRC. I have like a quick look. But just getting some of those new colors, or new styles in, is already going to be like a big change for MusicBrainz. I'm really like, it'll be exciting when we get that out, and then we can go from there. That's my kind of expectation.
From my perspective, I think for the beginning, you can help me out with finalizing the guidelines,
Mm,
because even I don't know the correct guidelines, to be honest. Like, yeah, because it's not given anywhere. I have to do research on my own, first of
mm,
all. Or maybe it might be possible that we don't have anything also,
Yeah.
that we need to discuss with the team first, that does MusicBrainz have a proper defined color system, that only these colors are to be used, nothing else. The
Mm.
palette is defined, and do we have things already managed or not?
Yeah, and I'll have to. I mean, it all seems pretty loose. I mean, it feels. Rob hasn't really talked to me much. I'm also unsure a little bit, and it'll get clear. I'm still kind of dipping my feet in, but like, am I just working on whatever I want? More, if I get
Yeah, yeah.
tickets assigned, I'm just like, okay, well, this one's great, or I'll make my own ticket. Like, what, or is he really expecting like, okay, talk to me before to check if I want this guideline?
No, no, I think it makes sense. Like, if I make the ticket for you from a developer perspective, it
Mm,
makes more sense because I will have insights on what's upcoming also.
mm,
So maybe like we are adding in some reviews also, maybe to listen to the MusicBrainz. So
mm,
where does that go? And when do we have to work on stuff? So,
yeah,
for example, if the code is far off from release pages, and if you are making a mockup for that as of now, it won't be of too much use
mm,
as of now. So if I can make a ticket for you, that'll be way more relevant, I think.
yeah,
That,
cool.
currently we are working on the homepage, so you could fix things right now for this, and next we are gonna hit the
Mm,
search part. So then you could provide the search part, and I think you will come to a point that you will have designed things way ahead, and I'll be behind.
yeah,
So you're gonna go see that for sure.
yeah. I mean, again, I wonder if I'm gonna end up putting the brakes on a bit with what we're talking about with the like having the bigger idea, which is that you're gonna be like, well, I just need this button changed. And then I'm gonna be like, well, we're kind of designing a button for like every site, on the MetaBrainz thing. So like, let's really think about it. So we'll see how. I wonder if it's going to go real quick, or if we're going to be like, oh yeah, let's think about how this impacts everything, and then all of a sudden, um, but that time spent's worth it, in my opinion.
Yeah, so that is why I asked you about that reusable components.
Yeah,
So
totally.
we want to first identify what all things will be used across websites.
Mm,
So across projects, what all things are going to be used,
mm,
and now we want to finalize now itself from
yeah.
the beginning that these are going to be things which we are going to have a lot of discussion about.
Mm,
But things which are only listen brain specific or music brain specific, for them, it's just that you decide, and
yeah.
we'll be good to go. Once
Gotcha.
the
Gotcha.
yeah, once the community is also happy with it, and yeah, I think it'll be a better idea for us to discuss the three of us first before you have a design on the forums,
Mm, yeah. Yeah.
because
Totally.
yeah, yeah. Because the forums will have a lot of suggestions, but the developers also know that what's coming next.
Yeah,
So
we're in a good position at the moment. It'll change as soon as we release anything, I think. But currently, I'm feeling quite safe because the impression from other users is more that like I'm not part of the team. So if I post something, you know, they don't really have to worry. It's like, oh, here comes Simon with some idea. So that's quite safe. But I totally agree. Um, yeah, as soon as the impression's there that what I'm posting is like speaking for
right.
MetaBrainz, yeah, we'll um, start being a bit, just making sure it's polished and represents you and Monkey's approach. Yeah.
So from what I'm expecting when you are showing us a design is that you have the PC version for it, and if you can in some way have it defined
Mm,
that this goes there, and only this much content has to be shown in the whole page. Like, if you can divide it in like layouts as well,
mm,
that would be great, first of all. Secondly, we want the mobile version as well.
mm-hmm.
How
So,
is how,
oh, sorry,
yeah,
just go back. What did you say just before about dividing it?
like, suppose you have the release page as well, right? So
Mm.
what should come in the one frame for the screen?
Oh yeah. Okay.
At one point, what is the user seeing?
Yeah. Okay. So like, kind of like pre-thinking, like thinking about the divs, that kind of thing. Like where.
Like, for example, I don't want a single page showing the whole thing. Like a single page with a design, it
Mm.
shouldn't show the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
when you are viewing something on the laptop or the computer, you can
Oh.
only see part of it.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Then the scroll comes in.
Okay.
Like, if we can divide it in like four scrolls, something
Mm-hmm.
like that. Like, I am not sure about what the term is for, like the term for that.
Yeah. I don't know.
But yeah, yeah, like so if we have it, like whatever you show in that mockup is the exact what the
Mm.
user will see when they land on that
Yeah.
page.
Cool. Gotcha.
And then if we have the mobile version also, that how things are differing also, and then we can first have a discussion on that in our ISC channel, which we have for the design
Yeah.
talks, and we can just like, for example, like we are going to work on ListenBrainz redesigning right now. So we are going to add a side nav bar
Mm.
for it. So that has been on in works since I think 2017 or something.
True.
We were thinking about it back then also, that something like what Spotify has on their web, something like that we want. But once you shrink it down to a mobile website, the side nav bar goes away,
Mm.
and now we have the bottom tiles, like the keys on Instagram are there, and
Got
home
it.
page, this page, it's that. So you have to differentiate that.
Mm.
That in the maximize side, it looks like this. In the phone version, it's like this.
Totally.
So after that, one the other thing would be the color combinations, like the themes. I think as of now, like we want themes firstly. Like what's the theme for the individual projects? Once we have that, then we can have a mock-up in the light and dark theme both.
Cool. Excellent. Yeah, and you already made a. Did you make a ticket? I can't remember, but we were talking about. I guess I talk about. I think when I say style guide, it's
Yeah,
more or less the themes as well. I think we're talking about the same thing
right,
there.
right,
Yeah.
right. We are on the same page.
Mm.
Even the fonts as well, like
Yeah.
what all fonts need to be used and what shouldn't be used or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. And I guess the other thing is, I mean, I don't know, maybe, I think Rob would be happy to up the hours. Let's see how it goes. It might be that if you want things to move faster, it's useful for you to talk to him as well and
Right,
say,
right.
hey, I can actually use more of, because some stuff like the style guide, that's going to take 3 hours. I
In one
mean, probably, that's 3 hours, but I'm thinking about one project. And then it's like, if you
right.
do it for every project plus dark theme, all of a sudden I'm like, okay, that might be like a month of my of my MetaBrainz time. So yeah, we'll just have to see how it goes. And yeah, if you have heaps of work for me, then I'm happy to do it. I probably have another. So I'm doing 3 hours. I've got a day and a half spare with no, during the week at the moment. So yeah, let's see.
Right, right. I think like to be honest, like we could like fire you up with the graphic design part itself as of now.
Mm,
But even for me, I need these guidelines.
mm,
It's not anywhere. Like I would have to ask you and Monkey also, I think, to decide on what's to be used.
right. Okay, that's good. That's good to know because I want to tackle that. I want to as well. And if you see a
Right.
need, then that's awesome because then I can just do it. Can prioritize it.
So what I can do is I can make it into separate tickets for you, like uh, the for individual projects one by one.
Yeah, I'll probably I don't know. I'll probably send you quite a few messages for tickets because I think the way it looks is that's how um, I think it's how Rob wants time to be reported as well. You know,
Right, right,
time spent on a ticket, which is great. But so I probably will end up messaging you a bit when I feel like, oh, okay, it's getting a bit vague for my timesheet. I
right, right.
might
Makes
just ask you, hey, can you give me a new? Because then it's really clear and um, yeah. But you're already doing that, so I'm happy for you to just write the tickets that you think are best, and then I'll let you know if I think it
no,
can
no,
be
no.
broken
I
up or.
think like you are the boss here, I would say. You are the
that's
boss
not that's not how it sounded like to me.
of
I was like, oh yeah, Aksha and Monkey are giving me stuff to do.
everyone's the boss over here.
Yeah.
I would, yeah. So, yeah, yeah. It's just that what I can do is I could provide you with my suggestions as of now that, I am working on this. So, let's get on the same page.
Mm,
So, the guidelines is something that I am tackling as of now. That what do I do about that? Because even like that's not a development job, I think.
mm. Oh no,
Even I can't
I
do.
don't think so either. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And
So,
you did make the ticket, so that's good.
right, right. I think we could break that up. If you are counting your hours based on the tickets, I think we should break it up so that in 1 hour you could use up around 3 to 4 tickets.
Yeah, I'm not too bothered because it's got one deliverable, which is a document. You know, so
Right,
I'm not too worried about that about this one actually because it is kind of one job. It's just a big one. Um,
right.
but if I'm giving you one Google Doc, then it might be easier to have one ticket. But you you know whatever you think. If there's some also if you need something sooner, you know, if you're like I need the page with colors on it right now, then make
As
a
of now,
separate.
we are sorted, I think.
Oh,
As
cool.
of
Yeah.
now, we have, the homepage is almost ready
Mm,
and we are codifying it. So, yeah, yeah. So I am like working on that and in ListenBrainz, working on shifting that brains player component. That's what we are going to be doing the next this week, coming week,
cool.
and a few things on ListenBrainz as well. The my listens to home thing that was discussed last week. So I'll be making that change this week. And yeah, yeah. So I think you have like a period of 2 weeks before I'm like, where's the design?
Yeah,
Where
yeah,
do what do
yeah,
I do? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
cool. That's good to know.
And you could also suggest that Akshat, we need to focus firstly on this page
Mm,
because you are the boss with the design front. I think that you are like this page needs to be revamped first
mm,
because this is more or less more connected. Like after the homepage, I would assume that the search page needs to be fixed. I would
mm.
assume. So
Yeah, and I mean like yeah, it is gonna. I'm definitely gonna be busy for a while.
right,
Yeah, so I mean, but let's just see. We can, you know, if you need something, you let me know. And um, yeah, but just so you know, this guy, yeah, like I said with the hours, the just this guide thing could definitely take a few weeks. Um, although I'll probably just do it in a day or two, and then just have. But you know, then the timesheet's like 8 hours
right.
done. I got to wait 2 weeks. You know.
Okay, okay, that's a very good point. So I think we'll cut that ticket down then because I don't want you to be spending time on things like that. So I think you could start with another ticket then.
Yeah,
Do you
well,
have any
you
suggestions?
know, yeah, I've got, yeah, so you can kind of guide me with the tickets, really, and then just let me know if one's a priority, because what have I got at the moment? It's just
I think
two.
the one where it talks about the login and register page.
So I've got design guidelines, I've got reusable components, which
And
is kind of the list. So that one's interesting, right? I'm not sure how I can close that one. I mean, I kind of can, but I suspect that'll change as we go. Um, you know, I suspect that as you guys add new elements,
Right.
you will realize, oh, or we will realize this should actually be reused. So that's that one. I was like, I'm not too sure. I guess I can start with a list, but it might be ongoing. It might be
Makes sense.
yeah. So that's why I was saying if you have a deliverable which is just like have a loose list and then we can close it.
Hmm.
If that makes sense, because here it's like decide on what components should be made reusable. I think that will change.
That makes sense what you're saying. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But I'll just make a start and then we can see. It might be a good practice one actually. I'll just make a start and then I'll put in what I've got and then we can decide like, oh yeah, is this actually what you need? And do we close
Right.
it or is it actually something else? Yeah, but those are my two tickets at the moment. So is that still? Shall I stick with those?
No, no, I'll make new ones for you.
Oh yeah.
So probably I'll close these tickets for you. And regarding the doc one,
Mm.
I could start with a doc, and then you could fill in the gaps.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, yeah, that.
Whatever your preference is.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. I could do that. So what I'll do is I'll make changes to the repo itself, the design system one, the
mm,
link that I shared to you, that
yeah.
under the styles. So I'll update those MD files, .md files. I'll update and I'll add some content to it.
Mm,
Then you can fill in the gaps that these are the colors which have to be
mm.
used. These are this for every project. And every time you make a pull request, yeah. So I think you are familiar with the pull request, right? You made
Yeah,
the
a little bit now. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So if you can just go and edit a file, add some changes, and then make a pull request, that would count as your work hours.
Got it.
Yeah,
Got it.
yeah. So every pull request you make, you could add it to your timesheet
Mm,
and be like, this pull request was worked on this.
yeah. I'm not too worried about the timesheet. I think it'll be also in my experience because I do design stuff for a few companies that don't have other designers.
Right.
And like the reality is that usually management doesn't know how long things take for me anyway. Some things they're like, this will take Simon 2 months. I'm like, no, no, that's like an afternoon. But then other things are like it takes. So I'm not too worried. I think if something takes longer, if I have to put a bunch of hours under one thing, that's quite normal for my. Yeah, I would. So I'm not too concerned.
I think the number will be revised soon.
Mm.
So don't worry on that.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, there's no. That was also my suggestion to start low because
Right, right, right.
I wanted to not jump in with like oh I've got 2 days I need to fill and then you're busy and then what is there to do? So I'm pretty happy to
Right,
take it slow, but let's see
right. So from
see.
my end, what I'll do is I'll make smaller tickets for you. That'll
Cool.
be easy to manage, and I'll share them to you on IRC.
Great. Yeah, sounds good. But also don't want you spending all your time making tickets. Say,
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's fine. I do work on MetaBrainz only, even on my off time.
yeah,
Like I'll be working on the app, or I'll be working on
cool,
the like I started an iOS app also, just out of
cool.
my curiosity. So it's there available, but I'm not working it in my time hours.
Yeah,
So
got it. Hey, how are you part time? How
yeah,
often are you working on
at
MetaBrainz?
25 hours a week.
Oh, okay, plus your studies, eh?
Yeah, yeah,
It's
right.
so still quite a lot. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, right.
cool.
So
All right. Yeah, I think that's. I don't know if I had any other questions really. I think I'm all. It's good to talk. Not have to wait on IRC. It's been yeah. Thanks heaps for taking the time.
yeah,
So
right.
much so much we could cover. Yeah.
And you are the boss, okay, with the design part. And you let us know at times also that this is a better thing to work at. Like
Mm,
you explained to me, that makes a lot of sense that you can't be spending your time just making docs as of now.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So we look into that, and wonderful, man. Like I love you. Like I love that you are a part of the team, you know.
Oh, great! I'm so pleased. You've already done so much of the hard work as well. I'm just like, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, yeah. Once that homepage comes out and all those things, I feel like I'm just going to be um, helping you bring that kind of
Yeah,
style to
yeah.
other stuff. So like that's
Then
really cool.
then we are gonna work one day at a time. Where
Yeah,
you know you put out the design, the next day it's on.
cool. Yeah, so good.
Yeah. I think let's end it here. And uh, a music recommendation, I think that would go well.
At the moment, what have I got open? Okay, I've got a friend. A friend just released some music. It's an album called Feather Spines by Tamira Porto, which is
Wow.
um, Taonga Porto is Maori. Um, is the Maori flute, like different flutes. Lots of it covers all flutes. I know Cat Quest spent a lot of time on the instruments. There's
Right,
like
right.
a lot. But my friend plays harp, and then her friend plays, yeah, the violin. Anyway, yeah, if people are interested in that kind of stuff, it's not what I always listen to, but it's real chill, and I've been working to it. So, Feather Spines by Tamira Porto. Yeah.
Amazing. Gonna go on your feed right now and get that song.
Yeah, yeah, go for it.
Right.
Cool.
I love the listen minutes features though. Like you'll be like you'll write a lot of things about a great song, and I'll be like, I'm gonna go listen to that.
Yeah, it's surprise. Yeah, I hadn't. Last time we met, you were like, you should go post it on ListenBrainz. And I was like, oh man, I have not been using it, but it's because things change quick.
Right, right.
I had used it and I was like, oh well, there's not much to do here. And then
Mm,
I came, well, probably a year later, but I was like, oh
mhm.
wow, this feed is pretty cool. You know,
Right, right.
yeah, it's really good.
Yeah,
Bye everyone.
yeah. Bye, bye.